everyone, it's Michelle Lupton here, and today I'm going to share with you the new Christmas ornaments kit from Hero Arts and Joann, available exclusively at joann.com. So in this kit we have the Holiday Ornaments clear stamp set with the matching frame cuts. We have the buffalo check pattern bold prints cling stamp. We have an intensified black ink pad. We have the embossing and watermark ink cube. We have the gold embossing powder. We have some cardstock in cherry, azalea, kiwi and bright green and turquoise. We also have 2 packs, one of white note cards and one of white envelopes. So plenty for you to make a heap of different Christmas cards. Now, this kit, as I said, is available from joann.com. It retails for $32.99, but it has a value of $71, so get onto it. It's really, really good value. All right, so what I'm doing, I have started by taking each of the 5 different colours of cardstock, and I have stamped the 5 different ornaments from the stamp set in the embossing ink, and I'm embossing those images with the gold embossing powder included in the kit. So I've done this with all 5 of the colours, and now I'm just going to cut those down. So I've got some leftover cardstock at this stage from each of those pieces. Now, I will be die cutting those ornaments out eventually, but I thought I would make use of some of the leftover pieces of cardstock. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting some strips of cardstock in each of those colours, and these strips I'm cutting to about 1/4 inch. And I'm going to be creating a panel that I am also going to be stamping these ornaments on. So I've just got a piece of copy paper here that I've placed into my MISTI, and I've lined up the stamps so the stamps are all facing vertically, so they're all facing in the same direction. And now I'm going to adhere my strips of cardstock, and I've just used tape runner adhesive. I've just covered that piece of paper with the tape runner adhesive, and now I'm just sticking all of these strips down on an angle. Approximately 45-degree angle, maybe slightly less than 45-degree, doesn't really matter. But I've got all the ornaments lined up going vertically, so all of these stripes are going to be going in the same direction on all of those ornaments. So when I got too close to the end, I just cut off some of the excess pieces, and I'm just popping them up in the corner so that I use up all of the little bits. And you can see I've got heaps left over, so I've got plenty left for some more cards when I'm finished with the ones that I'm going to be making today. So I just cut off the excess. Now, to make sure that I got things stamped in the right spot, I'm just cutting off the excess right on the edge of that copy paper, so it'll go straight back into my MISTI where I had it in the first place. So lined up in the bottom left-hand corner, and then I'm again going to be using the embossing ink and stamping those onto there. Can't see them very well there, but it's absolutely there. And I'm going to be adding some gold embossing powder to these as well. Now this was a bit tricky to heat with the embossing, because the piece of paper behind it was a little bit flimsy, and so of course the piece bent all over the place. But I didn't want to put it onto cardstock because this cardstock is really quite thick. It's really good quality cardstock, and you probably could cut through 2 layers of the cardstock with the die, but I didn't want to risk it, honestly. So I just wanted to do 1 layer, and adding a little bit of copy paper behind it didn't really make much of a difference. Okay, so all of those are cut out, and now I'm just taking those dies and cutting out the single colour ornaments that I'd already done. So you can see I've got all of the single ornaments cut out of the turquoise. Now I'm doing the bright green. Next, this is the kiwi cardstock, and I'll run that through my die cutting machine. Now I've got the cherry cardstock, which is a fabulous red for Christmas, and then finally with the azalea cardstock, which is a lovely hot pink colour. All right, so I'm just holding those die cuts, die pieces with some masking tape just to temporarily hold them in place while I run it through my die cutting machine. Now I'm going to create a background on a couple of my cards using this buffalo check pattern bold prints stamp, and I've actually used this a few times before I did this, so it's a little bit greyish. But of course yours won't look like that when you get it for new. Now what I'm doing is I'm stamping with just the embossing ink, because this is not just an embossing ink, it's a watermark ink. So you can actually create a very nice subtle background just by stamping with the watermark ink. Now it does stay a bit wet, a bit sticky for a little bit longer than most inks, because it is meant to be an embossing ink. You want it to stay a little bit wet, but of course I wasn't going to emboss it, so I heat set it so I could start adhering my card together. All right, so now I've got some of the sentiments from this same stamp set, and I've just stamped these in the intensified black ink onto some white cardstock, and I'm just cutting them down to rectangles. So I decided I didn't really want to fussy cut around these, and I wanted the sentiment to be nice and legible, so the best contrast you're going to get is black on white. So I just decided to go with that. So they're all ready to go now. And now it's just about assembling my cards. So this one, I just took my buffalo plaid background piece and adhered it to my card. And now I'm just choosing some of the ornaments to go onto my card, and just to see how they fit nicely onto the card with the sentiment. And then I'm just using my tape runner adhesive to adhere them. Now at this point I thought I'd just use 3, but I wanted to include more colour, and of course I've got 5 colours to work with, and I've got 1 colour in the background, so I wanted to be able to put all of the other 4 colours in the ornament. So I grabbed 1 more and pop that on there. So pretty easy to put the card together. Just stick the ornaments down, and then I stuck the sentiment down as well. Nice and simple. Now I could have finished right there because I quite like this card exactly how it is, but just one little extra bit of detail that I thought might be nice is to add some strings that the ornaments are hanging from. So I just grabbed a gold gel pen. You could use a white gel pen. You could even just use a black marker, a very fine tip marker. And I just grabbed my T-square ruler so I could line all those strings up and drew my strings in. Another thing you might do is draw little curly strings on the top, and that might make for something different. I did a similar thing with this card, and here's 3 cards that I made all together. All right, so let's have a look at them a little bit up close. You can see the really subtle background on the red panel here. You can see the gorgeous gold embossing powder on all of those ornaments, and on this one some extra detail of those stripes. So I hope you enjoy this kit from Joann's, and I hope you subscribe. Thanks, bye.